Alright, so today's Thanksgiving, and happy Thanksgiving, by the way. We just went to, and I took my children to an apple orchard. Okay, this place is a large apple orchard that also has some interactive stuff that you can do. So you can go out and pick apples, you can ride their horses, and they also have a bakery and a restaurant attached to it. So the bakery is open for takeout only, but guess what is not open? The fucking apple orchard. So imagine acres and acres and acres of various types of apple trees, and you are not allowed to go out there and pick apples. This stuff is fucking ridiculous. This can't go on any longer. I mean, we're looking at Thanksgiving being shut down, and I'm gonna put this in perspective. Halloween was just a couple of weeks ago, and at the time of Halloween, there was no election yet, so the country didn't know which way the election was going to go. Not that we really even know now, but a lot of municipalities and jurisdictions, towns, cities, whatever, still decided to have trick-or-treating. Some did, some didn't, right? And we went trick-or-treating at some of those places that we went. The people had small, individually wrapped baggies on a table that they were sitting 10 feet away from, that they told you could take one from and leave, and some people were acting normal, which I already thought was ridiculous enough. But the point is that they didn't have it all shut down. Fast forward to now, we've gone through the election, and even though we still don't know which way it's going to go, a lot of people feel it's leaning Biden, i.e. Democrat. So now you have all these governors of Democrat states, or at least states with heavy Democrat cities, imposing ludicrous restrictions, such as people have to wear a mask inside their own home, or they can have a gathering at their house, but there can only be X amount of people, depending on the state. 5 people, 8 people, whatever, but still, any kind of limit. And then some states even, like fucking crazy California, no singing, and other ridiculous shit like that. Like, aside from the impossibility of actually enforcing something like that, it's just so draconian and bizarre, it almost boggles the fucking mind. Really, straight out of a science fiction novel. But if you're not convinced yet about how bad it's going to be under a Biden presidency, understand that going forward, this is only going to be the beginning. There's absolutely no way that Thanksgiving is canceled, quote, canceled, and Christmas isn't going to be. So Christmas is going to be fucked also. And who knows how many more holidays and other things for the foreseeable future. Because since the election in my area, a blue area, places that were open but were operating under capacity because of local or state orders, those places are no longer open, or they no longer have internal hours for whatever kind of business it is. It doesn't matter if it's a restaurant, a bank, whatever. They're no longer allowing people into the building. So they've got employees that are working there that are wearing masks, which obviously those employees all go different places at night. They're not like contagious and fucking free. So do the masks work? Do they not work? Because they're allowed to get around each other every day, sometimes different employees, depending on how big the place is. They're allowed to be around each other every day, regardless of what their, quote, outside influence is when they're not there, but people are still not allowed to go in there. Oddly enough, super large stores like Target and Walmart don't ever seem to manage to be at capacity where they have somebody at the door counting the amount of people coming in, let alone telling more people, shoppers, hey, you guys got to wait because we're at capacity. But you see signs like that, and sometimes people like that at every single smaller business everywhere. Sign on the door says limit 10 people, or whatever. So this is fucking the same bullshit that goes for, you can't have something like, say, a mega rally, but you can't have a protest because COVID doesn't spread at protests. I mean, this shit's ridiculous. Every year there's a seasonal flu, and every year people who have other conditions die from the flu. In other words, something you are not supposed to die from. So coronavirus is never going to go away. It's going to be just like the flu. There's always going to be a strain of it floating around. In fact, coronavirus itself is a more generic term. Coronavirus isn't new. There have been coronaviruses for a long time. This particular COVID-19 strain is the one that's new. But the point is, the corona isn't going to fucking go anywhere. Every year there's going to be a new corona. There are probably several new coronas a year, every year anyways. And every year the strains will be either slightly more or slightly less lethal, but they are always going to have one thing in common, and that's that they're going to be lethal to people who already have problems. So what does this mean? That going forward we're going to have to wear a fucking mask everywhere we go from now on? That going forward you can never have any human contact without what? I mean, are we going to have to start carrying papers? There are already people in New York at the airport that make you fill out a visitor form to ask you about your health history and whether or not you plan on quarantine, and they have guard on duty. This is one place that Blasio apparently thought it was okay to put National Guard, not like in the streets. But they have guard at the airport to make sure you comply and fill out your form and then agree to go into quarantine if that's what they think that you need to do. So that's what our fucking life and that's what our country is going to be going forward. I mean, this is just beyond ridiculous. You know, and if you live in Oklahoma or Alabama or some other area maybe where nobody's taking the mask shit very seriously, especially if you're in a smaller town in a state like that, you know, you're lucky. You don't realize how fucking lucky you are and how worse it gets when you get into other areas. But I don't think that I have yet seen actual proof that the amount of people hospitalized or the amount of people that have died from something like this is any more in an area that hasn't been fucking sucking on the mask teat since this has started. I don't think I've seen that evidence, because that would be pretty compelling evidence that would shut everybody else up also, by the way. So yeah, there, you know, and I'm not even going to get into the whole spike in cases fucking bullshit that you see in the media, because spikes can also be proven by increased testing, because testing is becoming more available and there are tests that are becoming quicker. So once everybody gets tested, a lot more people are going to have it. It's just obvious. I don't know why I even got to walk through that. All I do know is that, you know, when you're fucking with people because of a political reason, I don't care for it. Obviously, I think it's bullshit. And when you fuck with adults to the point where you tell them that you have to wear a mask and you politicize the entire health aspect of wearing masks, basically trying to say that one side of the aisle, in this case Republicans, are demons who want everyone dead because they're not pushing mandatory masks at all times. When you politicize that with adults, it's bad enough. But then when you spread it to the fucking children, and you make children in blue areas, such as the one that I live in, not able to go to school, and not able to have regular friendships that young children are supposed to have, now you're fucking with my kids. And I got a real fucking problem with that. So people just want to drink the fucking Kool-Aid, and it doesn't matter what you're going to do. I mean, you know, I have family members that are like this. You know, my family's pretty split on this, and the family members that are like this, you know, they're all about, we can't have Thanksgiving. Like, they really took that shit to heart. Won't have anybody over. Even my mom even said, you can come pick up food at the door if you like. Well, what? Pick up food at the fucking door? Are you out of your mind? These people they've lost it. They fucking lost it. Looking back at history nowadays with a fully objective and educated mind, there are certain points in history where one can point to an occurrence or a phenomenon and say this was a turning point in this country's history, even if it's not the U.S., any country. These are things that historians do on a pretty regular basis. And it goes along with the if you don't learn from history, you're damned to repeat it type of shit. This is a turning point in society. This is something that will affect us for generations to come if we don't put a stop to it now. And anybody who says that people who talk this way are alarmists or crazy or whatever, they don't really understand the seriousness, because they don't understand history and they don't understand how this shit works. And you know what? I've lost fucking patience trying to educate them, trying to fucking make them open their mind to thoughts like that, because they don't want to open their mind. They want to be sheep. They want to believe everything that they believe. You know, as I've said before, my mind's open. I'm aware that I can be wrong about things, and if somebody tells me something that makes sense and I refuse to believe it or investigate it or come to my own decision on it when it's new information, that would make me a willful fucking idiot. And willful idiots are getting fucking tiring right now. So my next video here is going to be a couple of interesting Patriot videos, and after that I'm going to discuss what I think about that. So for now, that's it. Oh yeah, and happy fucking Thanksgiving.